Welcome to the Locked In Baseball Podcast. I am William Locke. He is Luis Barranco. It is Sunday, January 11th. We've had a flurry of moves. We've had a lot of action in my hometown, Chicago, Illinois. Going to be a very Chicago-centric podcast, I think, today. Lots to get to. Luis, how's it going?
I mean, it's a great day to be in the city of Chicago. I mean, I think it's a great day to be a William Locke sports fan. I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, the Bears won last night. Dunking on the Packers as expected. Coming back 21-3, Iceman getting the job done last night. And then you had a big move in baseball, hurting the Boston Red Sox. So it's a what a time to be alive. I mean, weather is probably peak Chicago right now. It's probably not a lick over 32 degrees right now, not a lick over 0 centigrade for my European and international listeners, if we do have those existing in the common world. And it's baseball. It's just a little bit of a month away from spring training, from pitchers and catchers reporting. So good to have you back on today, my guy.
Yeah, it is a good Sunday for me for sure. Probably the best Bears win of my lifetime. When they made the Super Bowl, it was very grainy. I don't really remember that run. So I was like 6 years old. Beating the Packers wild card was incredible. And the morale was super low. I was actually at a birthday party last night, and it was Kayla's friend, and luckily the game was on. A lot of Bears fans were there. The whole place was invested in the game. Vibes were very low for a good chunk of that game, and then when they came back and one was just absolutely electric. City was on fire. And I think interestingly, the Alex Bregman signing happens when the Bears are down like 21-3. And then after that signing is announced, that's when the Bears started to go on their run. So not only are Cubs fans super excited that they get their third baseman for the next 5 years, he already has helped the city of Chicago get a win with the good vibes, the good juju that he brought to the Bears win last night.
It was never a doubt last night. I fell asleep before the game, so I've been sleeping for the past 12 hours. Never a doubt. I had Bears winning yesterday. Cubs making moves. Good to see that the Cubs decided to put up some good morale. I mean, maybe Reinsdorf and the White Sox talked them into it. So, in the sense that we can't be broke and act like the only team that doesn't spend money out here. You can't be the Boston Red Sox, who have spent $0 free agent dollars this offseason.
The Red Sox are the only team not to spend on a free agent player this winter so far. Fun pod for you guys today. We're obviously going to talk about the Alex Bregman signing, the Edward Cabrera trade. There's also been some other news and notes from across the league. Tarik Skubal arbitration, the Cody Bellinger sweepstakes have gotten more interesting with this Alex Bregman signing last night. I was bored this week, and I made some NFL, MLB equivalents comparing some franchises. So I'm going to run those past Luis. He has not really seen them yet, and I'm going to give my explanation for this pod. And also, before we do dive in, we set our goal last week for 500 YouTube subscribers before the end of the calendar year, the end of 2026. We are at 218 right now, so please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if you enjoy the pod. Let us know if you have any responses to any of our hot takes that we're going to talk about today, any of our opinions, whatever it may be. But yeah, this should be a fun one. And like I said at the top, it is probably going to be a little bit Chicago-centric because this past week it was Cubs kind of making all the big moves.
A little bit Midwest-centric. I mean, you also got IU. I mean, I bet you the IU fans are getting obnoxious up there in Chicago. Oh.
The IU fans have definitely come out of the woodworks. Their team is incredible. One of the best college football teams I've ever seen.
Oh my God!
Kayla's friend had a bunch of her friends over, and they all went to IU, so they were like the best 2 days in a row ever for them. But IU is, I mean, you're obviously a Miami guy, so that's going to be a big game. The thing, and this might annoy some IU fans, but the thing that annoys me about IU and their football renaissance is IU fans made a point of it when they were terrible for the 100 years before this, that they go to the tailgate, but they made sure that they don't go to the game, and they let everybody know. They weren't there in the trenches when the team was going 2-10, 3-9 every single season. That stadium was absolutely empty. But now that they're good, they act like they've been day ones forever. I'm just saying, you weren't there. I was there when Michigan was going 3-9 with Ridge Rod. And when I'm not an SEC homer, anyone that knows me knows I'm a Big Ten guy through and through. But when people say it just means more for the SEC, when they were good, it was about the talent. But now it's about like when you have teams like Auburn, Kentucky that are 4-8, 3-9 every single season. They're still selling out that stadium every single Saturday. People are still invested in the football program, and you just don't get that in the Big Ten. Indiana before, Maryland, that stadium is always empty. Rutgers, like no one really cares when they're not good. So I think that is what when people say it just means more, I think that's kind of part of the thing they're getting at.
Ole Miss, when we grew up back home, Ole Miss was kind of like, no offense to some of the Ole Miss listeners,
they were terrible.
They were mid. That in the Dak Prescott Mississippi State days, I know some of your friends went to Mississippi State. I mean, they still sold out that stadium. That's still a raucous environment with the cowbells in the stadium. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's just getting annoying. People are just coming out with the IU, this Disney little storyline Hallmark movie. With Mendoza coming home, and please let's make this stop, please. Like, make it stop. They're going to come to the Rock. They're never going to see an offensive line and defensive line this good. And we have a common opponent in line, and our common opponent is Ohio State. And what did happen to Ohio State?
You guys spanked them.
It did indeed happen. So let's hold our horses here. IU 7.5 line. Also, don't you think it's also kind of weird that in 4 games this season, in the first drive, in the first like 4 plays, there's been an interception?
I think that's you're good when people think you're cheating.
I don't know. It's just like, how do you go from being like absolute dog water to really damn good?
If there's a pick 6 on Carson Beck's first throw next Monday, might be some more red flags.
I don't know. Connor Stallions might be on the payroll. You may have somebody, or they might have somebody. It's kind of crazy. I mean, they're playing at the Rock. It's going to be a great game. You have a game prediction, in your opinion? 7.5 points I've seen on the books.
Yeah, I mean, I think your point. Like, Miami has probably the best D line, O line that certainly Indiana's seen in the CFP. Comparable to Ohio State, but I do think that Ohio State team might have been a little bit overrated all season. They just didn't really play anybody. And when they played good comp, they struggled. And Michigan didn't have a pass rush, so they couldn't get to Ohio State, and that's why they won that game. I think Indiana does get it done. I think they win. I think it could be a little bit closer than the experts predict. I think the 7.5 line is a little bit disrespectful to Miami. They have to play a flawless football game. And, Carson Beck needs to hit some of those deep shots that he was missing against Ole Miss. But Indiana's damn good. I think Indiana is going to get it done.
That's the same thing everybody said about Ohio State. We're going to get blown out of the water against Ohio State. It's going to happen. Hey, Indiana hasn't faced a running back company and an O-line and a D-line like Miami's, and they haven't played a quarterback like Carson Beck.
Yeah,
I understand. I understand that you guys want to talk up Dante Moore.
He was terrible,
but he's brand new. He didn't play last year. He transferred from UCLA, right, or something like that.
Yeah, UCLA.
He didn't play, and then Julian Sain's a freshman. They haven't played a quarterback in Carson Beck with that much experience and acumen. He's been in the big games, and he's been on those Georgia teams.
All of Indiana's players are like 25 years old, so Indiana has not really played a team with the same level of experience that they have now. A team like Miami, they do have a lot of experience, so it should be a fun game. I think it's going to be hopefully closer than the experts are thinking here.
They haven't played a skill. They don't even have a skill guy like Malachi Toney.
No, but it's all about the team with Indiana. It's not the individual. No individual is bigger than the team.
I know. I'm just kind of annoyed about the storyline, about the Mendoza, Cristobal. It's going to get beaten to death.
So someone told me, I was talking to someone at the party last night, and he said that this Indiana team is basically just a better version of the Michigan team in 2023. And I had to hold my cool. I
can't. Sorry, we're getting off topic, but people are like, oh, they're the LSU team. And I'm like, stop.
That LSU team was like 2 to 3 deep with NFL players. That just doesn't exist in college football anymore because of the transfer portal. Depth is not really a thing in college football anymore. Indiana plays like 13 guys on defense. That LSU team was stacked 1 through like 3 in every position. They were come on. The LSU defense wasn't as good though.
I know people are just doing that. I mean, that Ohio State team last year was also pretty damn good.
Lost twice.
Yeah, I know they lost to Michigan, but still a quality team.
Quality
So
team.
I mean, but let's get to it. I mean,
Yep.
William, take it away.
Yep.
Let's talk about what happened in Wrigley yesterday.
Yeah, let's talk Chicago Cubs. Yesterday evening, it was announced pretty surprisingly, I'm not going to lie, Alex Bregman to the Chicago Cubs, 5 years, $175 million. The deal comes with a full no trade clause. There are no opt outs. It does include deferrals. So the 35 million AAV is going to be down to like 30 to 31 million annually, is what Fangraphs is saying right now. So the Cubs get their third baseman, which opens up a lot of questions about what happens with Matt Shaw, what happens with the Red Sox moving forward. Luis, what were your takeaways from this move? Huge move for the Cubs.
I mean, Chicago Cubs are finally realizing that, hey, we have the most money out of every team in this division, and we can routinely win this if we just throw money at this. So hats off to the Ricketts family finally getting this deal done. I mean, they were linked with Bregman last year. Couple takeaways. Number one, Nico Hoerner's days at Wrigley are numbered. I don't expect him to be on the team. Look at how the second base market is. There's so many second base market names in the market and so many teams up available. You have the Giants, the Yankees are getting floated to some of these guys, the Mariners that we already heard Nico Hoerner was floated in talks. Matt Shaw is more of a utility guy. I think you'd want him more on a team because of just the positional versatility. A little bit younger, I also do believe. So that's also a big move. Two, shows you what they thought about Kyle Tucker. Alex Bregman's been regarded number one as a great locker room vibes guy, and them not retaining Kyle Tucker and not giving that same dollar amount to Kyle Tucker, because when you do the breakdown, 5 over 175, it's looking about $35 million a year, and you're not willing to offer that to Kyle Tucker. Kind of shows what he meant to that clubhouse and what he standed for and what he brought to the park every day. And this is no shot at him. Some dudes just, different personalities, different strokes for different folks. And them not even being a player in that conversation with Kyle Tucker, and then going for Bregman, it's a clear question mark. Knocks him out of the Cody Bellinger race, which we'll get into that later. The Cubs were floated about a reunion with Bellinger. But all in all, the the Cubs get a ridiculous third baseman, one of the top 5 third basemen in the league. I mean, let's look at his stats last year. 3.54, 18 home runs, 273 batting average, 62 RBIs, and 433 at-bats. He played 114 games. I know that people know he had a little bit of injury last year. He had that quad injury that knocked him out a good majority of the summer, over the start of the summer. But I mean, dude's a Gold Glove third baseman. We can clearly put that. He was an all-star player, had some MVP votes past couple years. I mean, for the Cubs, this is a slam dunk move. You get a guy that will help you mold the clubhouse, very young clubhouse if you really do think about it, in PCA, Matt Shaw, Nico Hoerner, who I don't expect to be there. A lot of young guys, and having Alex Bregman, who's won before, who's been one of the head honchos and leaders of the clubhouse and other stops, kind of is a really good foundational piece for them to start.
Yeah, it's a good pickup, obviously, for the Cubs. I know a lot of people think it might be a little bit of an overpay. I think this is the thing with the Cubs, and I think you hit the nail on the head with, they can win the division if they just spend money, because no one else in that division is spending money. And they went out and they made the Edward Cabrera trade earlier in the week, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But that marked 2 straight years where the Cubs gave up their number 1 prospect. Last year was Cam Smith for Kyle Tucker. This year was Owen Casey for Edward Cabrera. And it had me wondering, okay, these are all in type of moves, but they're not pairing that with free agent spending. Like last winter, they didn't really spend that much on free agents. They didn't make that splash signing after trading for Kyle Tucker. This year, they go out and trade for another arm in Cabrera, and they finally, supplement that with some serious free agent spending. I don't care if people think it's an overpay. I think this is a deal that is worth making, given the context of that division, given the fact that you look at what the Dodgers are doing. The Dodgers have made 10 plus big boy moves over the past few seasons. This is the first Cubs big boy move since they went out and signed Dansby Swanson, and they have the money to compete with teams like the Mets and the Dodgers. They just haven't been spending it. And I know the Ricketts family would probably push back on that statement, but and I don't have insights into their books, but all signs point to the fact that I think the Cubs have more money than maybe they've been showing over the past couple off seasons. People have been pretty upset with their free agent spending, and this is a big boy move. I think it's very interesting for what it means in that clubhouse. I think if you look at what the Cubs have done with their clubhouse, they have arguably one of the most just good vibes clubhouse in all of baseball. Alex Bregman, obviously notoriously very good for clubhouse morale. The Red Sox, players certainly wanted him back for what he did for them last season in the clubhouse. They also have guys like Nico Horner, who's reportedly a really good clubhouse guy, Ian Happ. And then you kind of get good vibes guys in like, Shota Imanaga, Michael Bush, Seiya Suzuki. Like, I just feel like that's a good camaraderie, good vibes locker room. And I think we saw it work for them last year. They got really close to making the championship series, where I don't think necessarily they had the talent to make it as far as they did. And now they get a seriously good third baseman. And, it's going to be a good clubhouse. Also, Dansby Swanson, another good clubhouse guy. The left side of that defense is going to be really good. Nico Horner, again, elite defensively. Like, their infield defense is going to be very good. And you bring in a guy like Edward Cabrera, who's one of the higher ground ball rates guys in all of baseball. I just think this deal makes tons of sense. And people are going to say it's an overpay, but sometimes you got to overpay. And I can't remember who said it, but you're never, I think it was Passan maybe, you're never going to win a free agent sweepstakes by finishing third, or if you're rational about every free agent, you're going to finish third for every free agent. I think it
was Andrew Friedman from the Dodgers. He said, you're never gonna win a free agent. And that was my next point that I was going to bring up. You're never going to win a free agency bidding war by being rational and sticking to market value. In free agency, you're always going to have to overpay that a little bit of percentage more just to get the player to land. That's why it's free agency, it's open market. And when you look at it, I mean, roster construction wise, I mean, man, oh man, you add Alex Bregman, middle infield defense, and like we talk a lot about the spine of a team and like the defense of a team. You got Bregman, a Gold Glover, Dansby's a Gold Glover, and if they keep Horner at second, that's another Gold Glove move, right? The Gold Glover who won twice in 23 and 25. Those are great spine to have. Also, hitting wise, you're looking at the projected lineup. They have 3 lefty bats and 1 switch hitter. So a nice little blend of 50-50 damn near of having good rights and lefts, bat-handed hitters in the lineup. I really would like to see what happens. I mean, biggest question marks, and we'll talk more about them on the preview, would be their clear regression candidate. Can their offensive guys like Carson Kelly and all these guys that went berserk last season, I mean, they had that insane first month of April and a little bit of May. Can they stick to that? And that's what I think we're going to be watching out to see throughout the season.
I think it alleviates some of the pressure on PCA to be a big bat in that lineup. A lot of people saying that the Bregman bat might regress. I think that's fair. He's not going to have the Crawford boxes. He's not going to have Fenway, the Green Monster. But if you look at Wrigley Field last year, for right-handed hitters, the 7th most home runs in all of baseball were hit in Wrigley Field by right-handers last year with 114. So it really just depends on the day with where the wind is blowing. But I think he can still be a good bat. And, he's 32. The defense is going to stick with him. He'll be signed through 36, 37. So I don't know. I like this move. An interesting point to kind of taking it away from the Cubs, but I was reading Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic this morning, and there was a point in his article about just more validation for the Scott Boras short-term strategy. Bregman becomes the latest Scott Boras client to hit the jackpot after opting out of a short-term high-dollar agreement. Combine this deal with the $40 million Bregman earned in his 1 season with the Red Sox, and his total comes out to 6 years, $215 million, which is more than what the Tigers offered him last year with the 6 years, $171.5 million. And you compare that to other Boras clients who followed similar paths, including Matt Chapman, who did 1 year, $18 million with the Giants. Then he signed a 6-year, $151 million extension. You got Snell, 1 year, $32 with the Giants, then 5 years, $182 with the Dodgers. Alonso, 1 year, $30 million with the Mets, then 5 years, $155 million with the Orioles. Only Blake Snell, of those deals included deferrals. And then he mentioned that the only one that this short-term deal thing didn't really work out for was Jordan Montgomery with the 1 year 25. Then he got Tommy John, and now he actually changed agents to Wasserman from Boras. So this strategy has been working for Scott Boras, like him or not. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Bellinger, who earned $55 million over the past 2 seasons on a deal he originally signed with the Cubs, then a $5 million buyout when he declined his player option with the Yankees. And we'll talk about his market a little bit later, but it worked out for Bregman. It worked out for him.
Can we talk about the fallout of this move? Can we talk about Boston?
Oh, again, that's where I was going to go next. Yeah.
Again, it's kind of Metsian in the sense that, you look at Boston. I mean, they haven't spent a free agent dollar this offseason. We know that you traded for Wilson Contreras and for Sonny Gray, which are good moves on paper. They raise your floor of your team. But man, oh man, you're the Boston Red Sox. Again, one of the top 5 franchises, if not top 3 franchises in all of Major League Baseball. And we're penny pinching. I know that they're apprehensive on giving out these long-term contracts. But now when you look at their lineup, I mean, it's tough. And Alex Bregman on that team was a match made in heaven. They were really good. He was slapping the ball off the monster. We saw it live firsthand. Really good dude. And now, I mean, you look at that lineup. I mean, they got right now. Roster resource on Fangraphs has Romy Gonzalez. First baseman is Wilson. Third baseman is Marcelo Meyer, who you have your concerns about. Trevor Story at short. And, there's clear question marks and there's clear, pause. And, we did see the report that they are going to go get Bo Bichette and try to go get him. Mm-hmm. But man, oh man, seeing these contracts of what Bregman just got, don't you think Bichette's going to be asking for a nice $30 million?
I think
long term.
I think absolutely. Bo Bichette is the better guy to sign in free agency this winter. So I don't think it's the be all end all for the Red Sox, but I also don't think they're going to get Bichette. I think Bichette's, and we'll talk about him later, he's meeting with Philly on Monday via Zoom. He's been rumored with them. He's been rumored, obviously, with the Jays, the Yankees. It would make a lot of sense for Boston to play Bo Bichette at second base, and I would probably like that contract more than Alex Bregman. But again, the intangibles with Bregman, like you look at what he meant for guys like Roman Anthony, Jarren Duran, all of the young guys on Boston, Carlos Narvaez, like all of those guys talked about how much they loved having him in the clubhouse last year. And I'm sure they were pushing the Red Sox ownership, the front office, to bring that guy back. I'm sure in like the end of the year meetings, they're like, we need to get this Bregman back in the fold. We really liked having him in the clubhouse. Now who's the leader in the clubhouse? Wilson Contreras is the one guy there that really has a lot of experience, but I don't think he's kind of the clubhouse leader type of guy the way Bregman was. So they're now looking externally for that leader in the clubhouse. And I don't think Bo Bichette could be that guy either, because he's, a few years younger than Bregman. So this is a huge loss, obviously, not only on the field for Boston, but I think off the field too, with the leadership side of it. And yeah, like right now, roster resource has Marcelo Meyer being their starting third baseman. I think they want him to play shortstop because that's what he played in the minor leagues. But Story had a resurgent year last year. Do you move Story to second base, play Marcelo Meyer at short? Who's playing third, though? Marcelo Meyer has to stay healthy, has to prove himself hitting wise at the major league level still. I don't know. And it's a big loss for them. And, you don't want to see Ceddanne Rafaela probably play the infield because he was so good defensively in center field. It's a big loss for Boston. I think their fans are very upset with what they've seen from the front office this year.
I also think it's just kind of frustrating that their front offense is too rational. Like there's parts of it that you can be like, okay, don't be stupid and don't just spend money willy-nilly. But then there's just like the other part is like they're just way too rational, way too risk adverse, way against just spending money and doing more so long-term commitments. I mean, they did get outbid, essentially. They did stretch it out to 5. I think it was the report said that they did stretch it out to 5 years, but they did not want to stretch out to the $175 million point.
And the thing with Boston not spending money is they made that trade of Rafael Devers last summer, right? They got rid of him in June. And I know the return player-wise for Boston wasn't the best, but getting off that contract could look like a fleece of all fleeces, not having to spend that money. They don't have to pay a dime moving forward for Rafael Devers. In theory, you would think that opens up money for them to then go spend money on free agents like an Alex Bregman, like a Bo Bichette, which is still TBD. And you miss out on Bregman. That's hard to sell to the fans when we heard for so long how great it was that they got off of that Bregman money. Now is the time to prove that it was worth getting off that Bregman money, that it meant something in terms of reinvesting into the roster. And they haven't done it so far this winter. Like you said, $0 spent on free agents. And you have the Cardinals spending money for Sonny Gray, for Wilson Contreras to pay down some of those contracts.
Yeah, it's just to me, it's just hard as a fan for the Red Sox to get excited. It's very hard to get excited when you see these moves and you see the lack of long-term commitment. All these like Wilson Contreras and Sonny Gray moves are kind of like short-term windows. Like, why not keep a guy like Alex Bregman, who we can say is a premier player at his position? Just make the commitment. Why they're getting to the altar and they're getting cold feet essentially.
And last winter, you go out and you make a trade for Garrett Crochet. Guy finishes second in Cy Young voting this year and arguably had a Cy Young caliber season. And what have they done since then? Like this guy is so good. You saw him pitch in the wild card series against the Yankees. Like, he's a guy when he's on the mound in the regular season and in the playoffs, he's one of those guys where you're like, chalk that up as a win. Like, we're winning game one because we have Garrett Crochet. And that's just as valuable an asset as you can have in all of sports, in my opinion, or in all of baseball, whatever. And it's just, I'd be frustrated if I was a Boston fan. Again, the offseason is still incomplete because there is still time remaining.
But what's left is the problem. That's the whole point. And now that they've waited on Bo Bichette, they've waited to spend, they've waited to do their shopping later in the window. Now Bo Bichette's not going to come cheap. Like, Bo Bichette is probably looking at his lips right now that, we just got 35. I'm probably going to get not that number, but we're going to be in that ballpark. Just further validation.
Yep, definitely. I think Bo Bichette now is going to get a pretty big deal. Is Bichette a Boras guy?
No.
I don't think he is, yeah.
The Boras guy of all Boras guys is Cody Bellinger, which I don't know if you want to go there. You want to wrap up the Cubs right now.
Let's talk the Edward Cabrera trade. I didn't mention this when we were talking about the Bregman deal, but I don't know if you noticed, CubsCon is next weekend. So the Cubs decided to make all of their moves the week before CubsCon to make sure that fans aren't revolting at CubsCon.
Where's CubsCon this year?
Where is it?
Yeah.
At the Sheraton Grand Chicago, so a hotel. 150th anniversary for the Cubs. So, it's also the 10-year anniversary of the 2016 World Series win. So it's a big CubsCon this year. That they had to have some juice in the offseason before this event.
It's going to be possible getting into Chicago next year with CubsCon, and the Bears going to have another home game next weekend.
Yeah, that's true. It's going to be a huge weekend for Chicago sports.
Either you get the Eagles coming to town or you get the Rams coming to town.
I know. Or, the 49ers.
The 49ers can't make it.
Oh, they're the 6.
Yeah, they would go play the 1.
Yeah.
Lowest remaining. So,
and the Eagles are the 4, 3? 3. So, yeah, we would play the 3 Eagles. I'd rather play the Eagles again than one of the West teams. I know the 49ers defense is terrible, but that offense is so hard to stop. Anyways.
You went the Rams.
Yeah. The Rams, yeah, they didn't look good yesterday.
I mean, it's a common opponent. But, man, the Edward Cabrera trade, man, let's talk about it. I mean, Juntos Miami. Miami finally made a move. I mean, all throughout the summer and throughout the last trade deadline, it was that Miami needed to move some guys in the rotation. They had a large amount of rotational pieces, and they have a large influx of talent coming in through AAA and AA. Edward Cabrera got traded to Chicago for the top prospects, Owen Casey, Christian Hernandez, and Edgardo de Leon, who turns 19 next month. A lot of people think that the Cabrera trade is kind of nutty because he had an MRI on his elbow middle of last season, and he was placed on the IL in September with the sprained right elbow. Made 2 starts at the end of the last season. Pretty much the word on the street is that Edward Cabrera's right elbow is a ticking time bomb. And, that's why Yankee fans and a lot of teams were very apprehensive of doing a high return because, with the elbow history that he has, many people didn't know if he was going to pass the medical or if he was going to actually be able to give some longevity pitching. Mm-hmm. They were talking, if you remember, for the Luzardo trade last winter until the Cubs spiked it due to medical review. So kind of crazy that they spiked one for medical review, and we're here 12 months later, and they're not spiking this one. I mean, when you look at Edward Cabrera, He is a very good pitcher. He is very solid. Kind of
La-
had to be thrust to be the top guy in Miami due to the Sandy injuries and just many different injuries that happened with the Miami pitching staff last year. I mean, he pitched 137 innings last year,
Career
which
high.
was a career high. Started 26 games. He posted up a WAR of 2.8 going in 7, 3.53 ERA. I mean, this guy kind of puts yourselves at a 2-3 pitcher, a high 2 pitcher. If it really goes all bad, he's a 3, maybe even a 4. I know I've kind of made a big range, but again, Chicago is really adjusting their team up to get ready to win division. Because I mean, if you win that division and you can beat Milwaukee, you really get one of those wild card teams, which I think it's a very favorable outcome getting one of those wild card teams. Because when you look at those wild card teams, that could be a mix of Philadelphia, the Mets, the Braves, the Padres. They're all going to be playing balls to the wall at the end of the season to either win their division or to just precision seeding. So I think you'll get some favorable matchups in the playoffs pitching. But now the rotation is Matthew Boyd, Edward Cabrera, Cade Horton, Shota Imanaga, Jameson Taillon.
And
Again,
Justin Steele coming back from Tommy John at some point next season as well.
so that's a really solid pitching staff for Chicago. If all
Mhm.
goes well, you could be one of the top third in baseball with that pitching staff.
Yeah, and excited to see what happens with Cade Horton. Obviously, next season, he was very good as a rookie last year. Had an argument for Rookie of the Year, and yeah, Justin Steele coming back should be earlier in the season as an arm for them. So their rotation does add some depth here. I like the move, but I also think there's concerns with the injury. Last year was a career year for Cabrera. He's got 3 years of control, which is very nice for Chicago, of course. But I love this trade, man, for the Marlins. And we can talk about Peter Bendix and what he's done for that Marlins organization. Yeah, I think when you look at Miami moving forward, this outfield could be very, very good. Again, it's still super young, and time will tell what happens with this outfield for the Marlins. But right field, Owen Casey, again, could be a high strikeout guy, but could end up being a very good power bat. Left field, you got Kyle Stowers, who had a great year last year before he got hurt. We were kind of having those conversations that he could be in the running to get some MVP votes. He was playing so well. We were kind of starting that propaganda train. And then in center field, you have Jacob Marcy, who had a breakout rookie season last year as well. So super exciting young outfield core there. And again, the Marlins knew Edward Cabrera obviously better than anybody else. And he was a guy that they were dangling in trade conversations for a long time. There's got to be a reason behind that, because when he's pitching, of course, yes, he was good. There are concerns, of course, he's not a perfect pitcher, but they know his medical history better than anybody else. And there's probably a reason that, they wanted to move off of him. And when you think about it, the Marlins have made a lot of good trades recently. Peter Bendix was the guy at the Rays when they were known for making a lot of very, very good trades. And he kind of built them up to be the team that you don't want to make trades with. So this could end up being another one of those moves now that he's in Miami, where you just don't want to trade with the Marlins because they seem to win all of these trades. And I do think this could work out for Miami. Again, are they going to be competing next year for a World Series? Probably not. But man, I think this core, it's still super young, but they're building something there.
I mean, the whole thing about when you look at Miami is that they have a lot of pitchers coming up. I mean, they have Braxton Garrett, Max Meyer, Ryan Weathers, Yuri Perez, Sandy Alcantara, and then they have so many pitchers and prospects that they really know how to develop a pitcher. So in reality, losing Edward Cabrera is not, yes, it's a hit, but it's not that big of a hit because they're so deep and they have so many guys coming up. And now when you look at the lineup, you have another, I don't want to say blue chip, but you have another top 100 guy in Owen Casey, and their lineup poses to be pretty formidable. That you're growing a little small core that can get stronger, and they could build something in Miami. The only problem is that the infield is still kind of meh. I mean, Graham Polley is going to be at first base. I mean, we don't know what Gus Agasson Ramirez, his position is. Is he going to be the first base of the future, the DH of the future? He's not that great of a defensive catcher. So it remains to be seen what they do. Very lefty-heavy lineup with more than half of their lineup being lefty-heavy, being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys as lefty and 1 switch hitter. So it will be interesting to see if they do acquire a righty that. But I mean, very athletic team profile wise, if you look at the profile of the team, and will be interesting to see how they all grow together.
Exactly. I think they're building something there. Peter Bendix, we gave him a little bit of flack early in his tenure because he tore that thing down like right away, traded away all their pieces, but he's building that thing. Obviously, they were like 80 and 82 last year. They were in the playoff hunt until the very, very end. I think the last week they were finally eliminated. So
they came to the fortress. The Mets came to the fortress of that is Lone Depot, and they ended their season.
Yep. I forgot about Casey. He was in the Yu Darvish trade back in 2020. The Cubs traded Yu Darvish, Victor Caratini, and cash to the Padres for Zach Davies, Reginald Persadio, and a couple other prospects, and Owen Casey. And now he's flipped to Miami. So kind of interesting. Big move. I think could end up being a win-win. But if Edward Cabrera, doesn't stay healthy, then I think it could be a really big win for the Marlins. And we talked a lot about Casey, but Christian Hernandez, a shortstop, maybe that's an answer at the infield. He was the Cubs' number 11 prospect. And then the other dude they got turns 19 last year or the next month. So super young. We'll see what happens with him.
They need corner guys. But I think the biggest thing we need to talk about today is the Cody Bellinger impasse. I mean, Cody Bellinger is literally taking the Yankees. Boras is taking the Yankees for a ride. And I think it's getting to the point that Yankee fans are going to hear the name Scott Boras in the future, and they're going to be like, well, yep, that's not happening, which would be one, bad business, but at the end of the day, it casts a shadow of doubt. And that's at the point we're gotten to. The Yankees are supposedly offering $35 million over a multi-year deal.
I think it was $30 million. They didn't get up to 35.
Well, they're offering more than $30 million, which is a lot of money. And multi-year commitment, which is something that Cody's looking for, hanging up on the years. But the Yankees have said that they are going to start looking at bracing for other options. Those options include Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette, which is kind of interesting that it is January 11th, and the Kyle Tucker smoke has gotten very, very quiet. You heard Toronto be involved. They've kind of spent Okamoto, and then you haven't heard anything from them. And all the big market teams are kind of just out. And then you have Cody Bellinger, whose market is slowly shrinking by the day. The Cubs re-engaged. They're out. The LA teams we know aren't really spending. But who knows, man? It's getting to the point where, it's honestly, I understand the importance of Cody Bellinger, that he is a four-war player that can play you many positions in the outfield and first base, which is versatility. But at the end of the day, is he a $30 million plus player? Which I think $30 million plus player is becoming you see in other sports, like the max contract money. Like it's reserved for the elite of the elite. And at the end of the day, Cody Bellinger is quite older in age. He is right now 30 years old, turns 31 midseason, and he's wanting a 6 to 7 year commitment. So he's going to want to be 37, 38. I don't blame the Yankees for not giving the contract. I honestly would want them to walk away right now, stop wasting their time, because Scott Boras is clearly using the Yankees, and it's kind of getting annoying for Yankee fans. And I feel, as William, you are a big Yankee fan, I feel that Cashman is getting taken for a ride. He's getting put in the chair every offseason. I mean, it happened last year with Soto, and are we seeing it again this year that he's getting put into the chair? And people thought the Alex Bregman $35 million was kind of something nutty, as you said earlier in the podcast. That's something that would not happen. And lo and behold, he's got the money for Pete, and he got the money for Cease, and he got the money for Bregman. So right now, him asking for $35 million and somebody giving him $35 million is not out of the possibility, because these GMs are stupid.
Well, I think you were honestly a little bit nice about it. It's rumored that Bellinger wants, or Boras is asking for 36 to 37 million annually for Bellinger for like 7-8 years. Who does he think Cody Bellinger is? Like, that is absurd. That's Ronald Acuna level money. Like, that is that's Mookie Betts type money. That's not Cody Bellinger money. Like, yeah, he was good last year. He played multiple positions, but he wasn't an all-star. Guy hasn't been an all-star since 2019. He got a non-tendered by the Dodgers. That did not end harmoniously. The Cubs wanted to get rid of him. It was essentially a salary dump, right? Because he wasn't very good for them in 2024. He had 266 with a 111 OPS plus. Like, he's a good, solid player. He's not $37 million over 7-8 years. That's a mega deal. There's no way that contract ages that well. So my question is, who in the world is spending that money on Cody Bellinger? The Angels, the Dodgers have made it very clear this winter that they're not trying to give out those long-term high AAV type deals. Toronto's not going to spend that money. The Mets aren't going to give him that money. What's the market with that kind of money?
Mets,
that's insane.
The Mets. It's going to be the Mets. I've said it since day one. I remember we were at your house and you and your dad were like kind of quiet about it. I'm like, he's going to end up a Met. I mean, the Mets are going to get antsy. The market's not going to shake out the way it's going to shake out, and Cody's going to end up in Queens, and we're going to end up in the Queens is going to be the New York Queens with the Yankees out there with the Mets. And I'm telling you right now, yeah, he posted up a 5.1 WAR, but giving 7 to 8 years is not good business for a guy who's going to be 31 this season. It's really not.
And I've been on it all offseason. I've said I would like Bellinger back, but at the price that it seems like he's going to go for, I'm totally fine with the Yankees moving on and keeping the payroll books a little bit more flexible, because that's just that is the type of move that you just do not want to have on the books, because it is not going to be good when it's 2020, 2030, whatever, and you're still paying him $37 million a year, and he's hitting 240 with the power goes, and he's the legs go, and he can't play multiple positions. Just no, I'm fine. Let Anaheim pay that money.
So let's do this. Let's put your GM hat on. You are now Brian Cashman. What is your plan B?
Well, my plan B is what I thought his plan A should have been all offseason, to make Kyle Tucker the priority target. Now, the thing that concerns me about Kyle Tucker is the whole off the field stuff that's been floated all offseason, that he doesn't love baseball. He doesn't like baseball. He doesn't have the motor, which I have no idea if any of that stuff is true, but I do think it's a little odd that it's January 11th and we really aren't hearing anything about his market whatsoever. I know he's not a Boras guy, and those are kind of the guys that you hear about their markets the most, because he loves to float stuff to reporters to get it out in the media, to drive up the price, et cetera, et cetera. But I would still like Kyle Tucker, because I think he's a better baseball player. Even if he doesn't enjoy baseball, he's a better baseball player than Cody Bellinger is. So that's my plan A. My plan B would be to sign Bellinger, but say Bellinger is out of the picture, I think you look at left field next season as a platoon type situation, and you give Jason Dominguez some run out there in left field against right-handed pitching, because that's where he thrives. And then you go out and sign like an Austin Hayes, a guy that's good against lefties, and you kind of just try to make it work in left field for a year. And if Dominguez doesn't work out next year, then it's probably time to move on, and whatever the free agent market looks like next winter, then you go out and sign a left fielder for the future. The thing that screwed the Yankees this winter is the whole Trent Grisham thing, because I think Cody Bellinger is probably in pinstripes right now if Trent Grisham doesn't accept the qualifying offer, because there's 2 open left field or 2 open outfield spots that need to take care of, and I think the Yankees would probably be a little bit more aggressive in the pursuit of Bellinger if they didn't have a center fielder for this next season.
And I disagree, because I just think the money is just ludicrous. If he hasn't signed $30 million, it's kind of what the Kyle Tucker thing is. Like, we've seen this contract number balloon up to 300, that the Jays have met the valuation. Like, what are we waiting for? There's something clearly wrong here. I think with how the Yankees are structured right now, you need an outfielder. They're sitting at $262 million, so that gives them about $38 million to spend. People want to do the Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette thing, but I just don't think the money is there for both of them. That's $60 million, and I don't know where you're going to magically get rid of Giancarlo Stanton's contract and magically eat $22 million off of Trent Grisham. So I feel either or, and maybe you move Jazz for Brendan Donovan. Maybe it's tough. The Yankees are clearly at a crossroads. I mean, last offseason, we knew what plan B was.
Yeah.
Here, it's kind of like very unsure, because I do feel like, for as much as that they tell us that it was planned, that they had a plan if Trent Grisham accepted the $22 million the 1 year, I kind of feel that plan threw everything into a loop. I feel like they did want to bring Trent Grisham back, but just not at $22 million.
Right. And I would be very curious, if they just didn't offer him the qualifying offer, what Trent Grisham's free agent market would look like right now. outfielders
Perfect
really have.
example. Perfect example is Harrison Bader. Harrison Bader
Yeah.
is sitting right now, and those are two comparable guys. Except Trent Spat was a little bit, I don't want to say better, but both bats did really well this year. Two defensive outfielders, and Harrison Bader's still sitting on as a free agent right now.
Yeah, and we haven't really heard much about him. It seems like people don't want to pony up for Harrison Bader. So would Trent Grisham get 22 a year, or would it be lower AAV, longer term deal? I think that's probably what it would end up being, like 20 million a year for 3-4 years, whatever. Again, Trent Grisham is a prime regression candidate for the Yankees next season. So is there a world in which Trent Grisham isn't the center fielder all of next season for the Yankees? I don't know. 22 million is a lot of money for a guy to be making to not play him. Yeah, I think that did hamper the Yankees offseason a lot. And I think there's a lot of question marks as to why they offered him that money. Did they think he was just going to decline it and test the open waters, and they really wanted to get the draft pick compensation? I don't know.
Or GM Judge just really wanted Trent Grisham on the team.
Well, and that's the thing. It seems like GM Judge really wants Cody Bellinger back, but does GM Judge want Cody Bellinger back at $37 million a year? I don't know.
That's the thing. And I mean, there's still clear holes. I mean, you still talk about the rotation, which I mean, Rodon's not going to be available for the first month or so. Cole's not available to start the year out either, potentially. Schmidt too. So it's like, what is your rotation? I mean, we do talk about the Jason Dominguez, Spencer Jones thing, but I think that's the new Miguel Andujar, Clint Frazier package that I feel like teams are just kind of like, whatever. I mean, Freddie Peralta, they're saying it's going to take Elmer Rodriguez Cruz and Carlos LaGrange. So, I mean,
and that's a 1-year thing, $8 million. But if you can extend him, then I would do that money. But we know the Yankees don't do these extensions. They have not extended a player. I can't remember the last time they gave out a free agent or a contract extension to a guy that was a pending free agent. They usually let these guys hit the open market. And I think if they go out and trade for a guy like Freddie Peralta, they would let him hit the open market. Think about it. Juan Soto hit the open market. Devin Williams hit the open market. Those were kind of their two.
Aaron Judge hit the open market.
Yeah, they let Aaron Judge hit the open market. Like, they don't really do these extensions. So do you really think they're going to trade for Freddie Peralta and extend him? I don't think so. So is it worth giving up those two prospects? I don't know. That's why these guys make the big bucks, and they have to make these tough decisions.
I mean, at the end of the day, what is the difference between the Mets and the Yankees?
The history?
Right, I know, but obviously, but like team-wise, there's not really that much difference.
Yeah, because both have the star players, Judge, Soto. I think the Yankees rotation is better than what the Mets have.
Yeah, but
when healthy.
My whole point is moving forward. It's going to be these next 2 weeks after Martin Luther King, I think the market's going to pop.
I think the Bregman thing might finally get this market churning, because that was a big domino to fall. And now we have a reference point of like a huge Boras client that had options to go other places. Because I think Schwarber was a Boras guy, but I think it was pretty obvious he was going back to Philly.
Schwarber wasn't, but there's also Pete. Pete was that, and we went quiet for a month. I don't know. I mean, Bichette's meeting with going to meet with the Phillies. They're saying that he's close with Mattingly, and Mattingly joined as a coach for the Phillies. I mean, that would put another guy on the trade market. Phillies haven't been able to move any money, so I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
I thought it was kind of funny with Mattingly doing the bench coach thing for the Phillies. It's kind of like reverse nepotism, because his son is the GM, Preston, and he signed his dad to be the bench coach in Philly. I think it's a great move for Philly. He actually managed Jesus Luzardo in Miami, but no one else on the current roster. But he'll be there for at least 2 years. He signed through the 2027 season, so I did think that was a good move for Philly.
Good experience. Another Yankees coach, ex-Yankee coach, going down to another stop.
I hope he gets the ring at some point.
Yeah, we can talk about some quick news and notes, and then we'll hit a big topic. Matt Quatraro, 3-year extension for the Royals, club option 2030. One of the more underrated managers in the league. Good to see him get extended. Mm-hmm. Shohei Day is going to be celebrated.
It did.
It was celebrated on Wednesday, 1/7.
Can I go ahead?
No, you go.
I have a take on this. So the Ohtani Day on January 7th, 1/7, that's his number. I love Ohtani. He's great. He's the best all-around player I've obviously seen. He has an argument to be the best player ever. I think he probably is most talented player ever in terms of what he does, hitting and pitching. No one's really done it at the level that he does. I think MLB did this for the social media engagement. I don't think they actually did it for the content on MLB Network. Because if you look at the engagement on Twitter and Instagram, not only do you have the Ohtani lovers, which are vast, there's tons of them across the entire world. So you have the engagement from them, but you also have the engagement from the people that don't like Ohtani and talk about how MLB is, glazing Ohtani, to use a Gen Z term. So you had a ton of engagement on social media talking about Ohtani, talking about Major League Baseball in the middle of January when the stove was kind of cold. And I don't think many people were actually tuning into the Ohtani Day on MLB Network for the Ohtani-based coverage. I think this was just a PR play to kind of just randomly have people talking about Shohei Ohtani. It does raise the question of, now that you set the precedent with Ohtani, do you do this with your second best or second biggest star, Aaron Judge? Is September 9th going to be Aaron Judge Day? Because now you set the precedent. You kind of got to keep this thing going.
Hey, there's going to be a Acuna Day on 1-3. You could have Cole Day on 4-5. There could be,
That's what I'm saying. You set the precedent. No, some of those days are during the regular season where there's obviously a lot more stuff to talk about.
6-7 day?
6-7 day. I don't know who's number 67, but yeah, for sure. That's going to be a huge day, January 7th, 6-7 day. So January, I don't know. I thought that was funny. I think it was good marketing by Major League Baseball. It was clearly engagement bait, though. Like that top tier engagement bait.
We could talk about how Manfred was talking about doing an in-season tournament, splitting the seasons, and doing a deadline for the free agency. I think the in-season tournament would be fun, but I just don't know how. I don't understand, and I don't want to go on this topic too long because I feel like we always get stuck on this rabbit hole. One of us gets really passionate, and we just go on and on and on about it, but I just don't understand the purpose of the NBA Cup, the Emirates NBA Cup. Yeah. What is the point? Everybody gets, I think it's like $500,000 as players. Okay, you're competing for money. What's the purpose in Major League Baseball doing that? Doing an in-season tournament for what? What is the benefit? If you were able to clinch a playoff spot, that would actually be important. But then you devalue the 162. Right. So I don't understand, why would you do an in-season tournament if there's no value other than just gifting the money? Who cares about raising up a in-season tournament banner? Yeah, it's funny for just memes and joking around and just friendly banter that, hey, we have one in-season cup tournament win and you don't have one. We have a banner. But really, what's the point? Are we just going to make a mini World Series this big?
I think the MLB regular season is perfect. I don't think they need to touch it. 162, nice number. All of the records and milestones that you think about most of them are associated with the 162 game season, the Bonds home run record, all that type of stuff. I don't think you need to mess with the regular season. I think, we've seen other sports do it. Obviously the NBA brought in the NBA Cup and no one cares about that. The NFL extended their season to 17 games, 18-week schedule, and it's definitely diluted the product a little bit.
What do you mean diluted the product? It's terrible. Literally week 17, week 18, we're seeing Max Brosmer versus whatever that quarterback's name for the Chiefs was.
Chris Oladokun. Put some respect on his name.
Hey, we're going to see one of these days that Chad Henney's going to come out of retirement and come start. Josh Johnson was starting games for the last 2 years.
It's terrible.
For the Cubbies. I would enjoy, though, for Major League Baseball to do a split. Maybe the All-Star game, they make that a whole week off. Mm-hmm. Put it right in the middle and split it. And give us a break. I know in La Liga, in European sports, for our listeners, I know Josh Doran can probably speak about this, that how in La Liga and in League One, those European leagues, the Premier League doesn't do it, but they do a holiday break. Mm-hmm. And they shut the league down for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think a full week off, a week and a half would be good for these guys. But then, you extend the season further into October, further into football season. It's colder too. You have to think about those things as well. I don't know. Tarik Skubal, arbitration drama. He was projected to earn 17.8 in arbitration per MLB trade rumors. He made $10 million last season, and he could break Jacob DeGrom's record for arbitration raise for a pitcher, which is $9.6 million, and David Price's record for overall arbitration salary for a pitcher at $19.75. Tarik Skubal filed at $32 million. The deadline was, I believe, Thursday this week. He filed at 32, and the Tigers filed at $19 million. So that is a huge $13 million gap between the two sides. They will head to an arbitration hearing. It is worth noting that arbitration record is Juan Soto at $31 million. Tarik Skubal filed at $1 million more. And then as ESPN reported on Thursday, players such as Skubal, who have more than 5 years of service time, can buck arbitration norms by using salary compensations to not only previous arbitration eligible players, but to any players in baseball. So this means that Skubal's camp can invoke comparisons to the likes of Zach Wheeler, $42 million a year, and Garrett Cole, $36 million a year, rather than just the previous deals of players in their first 6 years of MLB service. So the Tigers clearly cheaping out on Skubal. They're not going to sign him to a contract extension, and they're kind of disrespecting him in arbitration. So this hearing is going to be very interesting. The Tigers are known to be a file and trial team where they file their number, and if they come to a disagreement with the player, they take it to trial. And this is going to be interesting because obviously, if you're the Tigers, you want to be in on the Skubal sweepstakes, but he is a Boras client. He's probably going to hit the open market. I don't think an extension is coming there. And now this is kind of just a little bit more drama heading into the regular season.
You said it best, and I kind of feel like it's going to motivate Skubal to have another Cy Young MVP season this year. I have nothing I was going to say. Boras clients, their whole MO and their whole, when was the last time a Boras client? I can't think of a high marquee caliber Boras client ever extending. They always hit market. Always. It's kind of like, yep, we're going to hit the market. We're going to cash out. Going to make a lot of money.
And I think he's worth the $32 million a year. I think he's worth the arbitration record.
What do you mean? What do you think he's worth? He's worth every freaking penny. Like, I don't know why you don't agree to it. Like, it's less money than other top marquee guys. Like, it's less than Shohei Ohtani. And we both know that Tarik Skubal is better than Shohei Ohtani pitching-wise.
Yeah, definitely. He's the best pitcher in the league. Some other notable teams and players that did not come to a arbitration agreement: Isaac Paredes, William Contreras, Joe Ryan, Vinny Pasquantino, Kyle Bradish, Bryce Miller, one of them, Graham Ashcraft. So Skubal, obviously the biggest name there. Going to be interesting to follow that story as those two teams or those two sides kind of navigate what I think is going to be a little bit of a rocky season. I think if the Tigers have a rocky first half, which I don't think is out of the realm of possibility because they haven't done anything to improve their lineup this winter, if they suck, he's going to be floated in trade rumors all June, all of July leading up to the deadline.
100%.
Some other tidbits: Jim Crane won't commit to retaining Dana Brown and Joe Espada after the 2026 season. So we have a lame duck general manager and manager in Houston this year.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better.
I think that's something to monitor. Last year was kind of the one bad year they had after a very good run. So Rosenthal had another thing. Rosenthal had like his news and notes article earlier in the week, and a lot of that stuff is outdated, but I did think there was one little interesting tidbit. We talked about college guys, college head coaches making the leap to the major league ranks. And obviously we talked about Tony Vitello. He's kind of the name guy, the big guy, but the Brewers actually got off to a head start on this trend when they hired Spencer Allen as field coordinator ahead of the 2022 season. He was Northwestern's baseball coach for the prior 6 seasons. Then he became the Brewers' director of player development, a position he has held for the last 2 years. In a move that received high marks around the industry on Monday, Milwaukee announced his promotion to first base coach. He's 48. He's regarded as a candidate for a managerial job or bench coach job down the road. Other clubs had interest in hiring him away from the Brewers. His calling cards as a coach are base running and defense. So I just think that's an interesting name to watch. That, one of those guys that made the jump from college to pros. Spencer Allen, I think he could be a dude that is named in managerial openings next winter. I just thought that was an interesting tidbit.
Could be a dude. A's denied the Las Vegas Athletics and the Vegas A's trademarks again.
Yeah.
Will be interesting to see what happens moving forward, because I feel like, I know you're in the marketing space, and I feel that's something that, a lot of teams in Major League Baseball, from the little that I know, marketing hold near and dear to their hearts. That's why, in like NFL, you see very rare teams change their logo and color schemes. It's something that's truly to them, and a rebrand is costs one a lot of money, and it confuses the consumer. The product. You don't want to change much to product. You have a good product, you don't want to change it. You don't want to Cracker Barrel it. So
I think it was funny. The funniest part about that, the Last Dive Bar, which is kind of like an anti-A's, because they were based in Las Vegas. They actually have those trademarks for Las Vegas Athletics and Vegas Athletics, which is pretty funny. And reading that article in The Athletic, it seems like the A's are going to have a tough time getting those trademarks. So who knows what this means moving forward when they eventually make that move to Las Vegas in 2028. A couple other things: Diamondbacks not trading Ketel Marte. I think that's good news.
I'm not surprised. I mean, they kind of, I don't know. It's just kind of like we said all offseason. It's like, it's kind of interesting. I know the locker room, but like, why do you just bring them to camp? And they kind of were like, their feet were kind of just scuffling their feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to end up being the right move, because he's on a team-friendly contract, best second baseman in the league. Just makes sense to keep him. I know the clubhouse stuff, but maybe that was a little bit overblown. I don't know. We'll see. And then Max Kepler, 80-game suspension for PEDs. He took Epitrembolone. I don't know how to say it. Do you know how to say it?
Epitrembolone.
Do you know about that stuff?
I know about Trembolone, but that's for a whole other podcast to have, and peptides.
I Googled this steroid that he took. It is a synthetic steroid used in livestock to increase muscle growth and appetite. So basically, I was reading about it. They give this stuff to cattle to promote muscle mass. That is crazy. He's taking this stuff. And again, I just think whenever you get a guy that gets popped for PEDs, it's a disrespect to the other players that are doing it clean, especially in this era, compared to the steroid era when like everyone was doing it. It was still disrespectful to other players at that point. But now when you're kind of got the kind of code of conduct as baseball players to do it clean, it always rubs me the wrong way. And he's going to have an 80-game suspension. He is a free agent, so this will obviously affect his market. If he probably won't end up signing this winter. And I just hate seeing that.
Hey, trying to get big, man. Maybe a bodybuilding career is in his future.
I saw a funny comment in the Athletic article about that, and I can't take credit for it, obviously, but it said without steroids, he's just Min Kepler. That's a dad joke.
Oh God. Well, you want to take this last one away? NFL playoff teams is MLB teams.
Yeah. So I did a lot of thought, and we always kind of do this stuff with like the Premier League and the NFL, me and you. So I was bored one evening this week, and I put a lot of thought into this. So NFL playoff teams as Major League Baseball teams, or their Major League equivalent. And this is not teams this year. This is like all-time franchise. So first, I'm going to go through the seeds 1 through 7 in each league. Broncos, I got them as the Braves. Reasoning being they're both great in the 90s. The Braves won 5 pennants. The Broncos won 2 AFC championships. And then the Broncos also won 3 in the late 80s in 86, 87, and 89. The Braves won the World Series in 95, and the Broncos won the Super Bowl in 97 and 98. And then most importantly, they're both good again in the 21st century, with the Broncos popping up and winning 1 Super Bowl in 2015, and the Braves popping up and winning a World Series in 2021.
Okay.
I got the Patriots as the Red Sox. Obviously, they're from the same, city, but they were both pretty irrelevant for the 20th century. The Patriots were kind of a laughingstock for a long time. They made the Super Bowl in 85 to play against the Bears. They lost that, but they have both turned it on in the 21st century. And of course, the Red Sox were a joke for the 20th century. Had the super long, curse of the Bambino, whatever, and then finally won in 04. But both teams were elite in the 21st century, with the Patriots winning 6 Super Bowls and the Red Sox winning, was it 4 or 5 World Series in the 20th century?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I got there. Jags, I got them as the Rays. Both expansion teams. Jaguars' first season was in 95. Rays' first season was in 98. Neither of the teams have a title, but the Jags do have one AFC Championship game appearance in 2017. The Rays have 2 pennants in 2008 and 2020. Both teams have 9 playoff appearances, which I thought was kind of interesting. And both of them flirt with playing internationally. The Jaguars, Khan, their owner, they play in London every single season, sometimes play multiple games internationally. And the Rays had that whole weird Montreal project a couple of years ago, which eventually was scrapped, but it was a thing.
Okay.
I have the Steelers as the Cardinals. The Steelers have 6 Super Bowls, which is tied for the most. They won 4 in the 1970s and 2 in the 21st century in 05 and 2008. The Cardinals won 9 in the 20th century World Series, that is, and they have the second most World Series all time. Cardinals won 2 in the 60s and have won also 2 in the 21st century in 06 and 2011. Obviously, you have iconic players, Terry Bradshaw, Bob Gibson, Stan Musial, guys like that, but also iconic managers like Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, Tony La Russa, Whitey Herzog, and Red, I don't know how to say his last name, Schoendienst for the Cardinals. So that's my comp there. Texans I have as the Mariners. Again,
I disagree with this one.
Both expansion teams. The Texans' first season was in 2002. This one was I struggled with a little bit. Mariners was in 1967. I have that written down as 97, but it's 67. The Texans are one of 4 teams to never appear in a Super Bowl. The Mariners are the only team to never appear in a World Series. The Mariners made the CS in 2025 and 2001. The Texans have never made a championship game, but have made the playoffs 3 years in a row.
You know who the Texans are? They remind me a little bit more about the Diamondbacks.
But the Diamondbacks have a World Series in 01.
I know.
That's the reason I didn't go for the D-backs with this one.
True. The next one you have here, I disagree, and I want to do mine, but go ahead with yours.
Okay. Yeah, this one I struggled a little bit with. I have the Bills as the Padres. They're both tortured fan bases. The Bills made 4 straight Super Bowls in the 90s and lost every single one of them. The Padres lost the World Series in 94 and 98. Both teams are good now with superstar players in Josh Allen and Fernando Tatis Jr., but they cannot get over the hump because of interconference or interleague rivals such as the Chiefs and the Dodgers. They're kind of second fiddle to those teams in their respective leagues.
I would do the Blue Jays. Both are tortured fan bases that have gone through a lot of heartbreak. I think that's a better one.
Okay. And sorry, I meant to say 1984, not 1994 for the Padres World Series. This one, I struggle a little bit with, but Chargers are the Mets. Little bro in a big city is basically my reasoning there. Chargers are little bro to the Rams. They're both good teams at times, but only 2 titles for the Mets, one for the Chargers, which was pre-merger. And I got them as they're good now, but ultimately not good enough at the moment. And then they have star players, Justin Herbert, Juan Soto, but not good enough to win a championship.
I would say that they're the Padres. They have a lot of really good players, sky-high expectations, and they fall short in the bigger moments. I mean, this year they have all the expectation, and they fall flat against teams like the Jaguars and whatnot.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comp. So this one pissed people off a little bit in the comments of the graphic I posted yesterday. I got the Seahawks as the Astros. It has nothing to do with cheating, obviously. I want to put that out there.
Why do you have to do that to our Seattle? We have such a good Seattle. Everybody loves good Seattle.
I know. We love Seattle. We love the Mariners and the Seahawks. But the main thing here was they had a really good run in the 21st century. The Seahawks with Pete Carroll, Beast Mode, Legion of Boom, all that stuff. They have 1 Super Bowl in 2013. The Astros have 2 World Series, 2017 and 2022. Some people they say they only have 1 World Series in 2022. Both teams really good in the 2010s, with the Seahawks winning 2 NFCs in 2013 and 2014. The Astros winning in 2017 and 2019. The Astros did continue to be good in the 2020s, winning pennants in 21 and 22. But the Hawks finished with the best record in the NFL this year. They both have good 21st century managers in Pete Carroll, AJ Hinch, and Dusty Baker. And I think an interesting one here is they both have lost in heartbreaking fashion. Malcolm Butler, interception in 2014, and the Astros losing in 7 in 2021 against, in 2019 against the Nationals, in 6 in 2021 against the Braves, and then in 6 again in 2022 against the Phillies.
I would have said the Mariners, but I see it. I would have done that for the Mariners and the Astros for the Rams, but
I tried to avoid inner city as much as I could.
So yeah.
But now I got a couple inner city ones. Bears are the Cubs. And again, this is was better when I made this coming out of this weekend. But overall, like if we're being honest, shitty owners or shitty franchises with bad ownership. Cubs won 3 World Series, 1907, 1908, and then 2016. The Bears have won 1 Super Bowl in 1985 and nothing since. Bears fans don't like the McCaskies. Cubs fans don't like the Ricketts family. Again, the Ricketts spent money yesterday, so that kind of negates that a little bit, but still the overall trend is there. Both teams have old, iconic stadiums, Soldier Field, Wrigley Field, but can't figure out the Bears can't figure out the new stadium deal. So that was kind of the easiest comp I had for the Bears. I struggled with the Eagles in 49ers and Packers, but I ended up with the Eagles as the Phillies, both iconic old franchises with success in old eras and new. The Eagles have 3 championships pre-merger and 2 Super Bowls post-merger. The Phillies won the World Series in 80 and 2008. Again, that said, the Phillies are the losingest team in MLB history. They are historically really bad with a 475 winning percentage. They've lost over 11,000 games. The Eagles are the 6th losingest team of all time with 645 losses and a 502 win percentage. Both are good now, but the Eagles are better now than the Phillies are. The Eagles obviously have the 2 Super Bowls in 2017 and 2024, where the Phillies have not won since 2008 and keep coming up short. So that was kind of the closest I could get for the Eagles comp. I went back and forth.
Okay.
I have the Panthers as the Rockies, both expansion teams. Panthers' first season was in 95, Rockies in 93. Both played in football stadiums for the first year or two. The Panthers played in Clemson. They both played in different stadiums, I guess you could say. Obviously, the Panthers played in a football stadium. The Panthers played in Clemson Stadium before their stadium was ready. The Rockies played a couple seasons in Mile High before Coors was ready. Little to no success all time. The Rockies have appeared in 1 World Series. The Panthers have appeared in 2 Super Bowls, but both got crushed in those titles. The Rockies got swept by the Red Sox. The Panthers lost 48-21 to the Bucks in 2002, and then 24-10 to the Broncos in 2015. That game was close. It wasn't a smashing, but that was the Cam Newton didn't jump on the fumble game. Super Bowl 50. The Rams I have as the San Francisco Giants. The Rams have moved a lot. They're both nomadic. The Rams have moved a lot. They have been the Cleveland Rams, the LA Rams, the St. Louis Rams, and then back to the LA Rams. The Giants famously moved from New York to San Francisco in 1958. They have success in both centuries, 20th and 21st. Rams have titles in 45, 51, 99, and 2021. Giants have titles in 05, 1905, 1921, 1922, 33, 54, 2010, 2012, and 2014. They have young coaches, very young coaches, Sean McVay and Tony Vitello. And in my opinion, they both have great stadiums, top-tier stadiums in SoFi and Oracle. I think the key point there is the nomadic part.
I would have done the Astros because the Rams have kind of that. The Rams and Astros have that villain element where the Astros are like win at no all costs and Rams are like screw them picks. So
interesting. The Yankees or the 49ers I have as the Yankees. Dominant in the 20th century, but struggling to get over the hump in the 21st century. The 49ers obviously were a dynasty with Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. They won Super Bowls in 81, 84, 88, 89, and 94. The Yankees won 26 World Series in the 21st century. The Yankees obviously have only won in the 21st century and have not won since 2009. Only 1 World Series appearance since then. The 49ers haven't won since 1994 and have lost Super Bowls in 2012, 2019, and 2023. I said they're both system teams. 49ers have a great system in Kyle Shanahan, and you kind of can plug and play at the quarterback position, and it'll work out. And the Yankees, as we know, love to rely on the computer and the analytics of it all. So Aaron Boone, some people say, doesn't actually do anything in the manager position.
Very true.
So the key point there was just iconic teams, arguably the best franchise in both of their respective sports, but have not gotten over the hump in the 21st century. And then finally, I have the Packers as the Dodgers. And again, I struggled with this one, but they're old, iconic franchises with success in old eras and new. The Packers have 11 NFL championships pre-merger and 4 Super Bowls post-merger. The Dodgers have 6 World Series titles had in the 20th century and 3 in the 21st century. I think the key here is I think they're both probably the best run organizations in their respective leagues. The Dodgers, we know with Guggenheim, they're going to be good. They're both always just seem to be good. Even when the Dodgers couldn't get over the hump in the 2010s, They were very good pretty much every single season. Now they're the best team in the class of Major League Baseball. And as a Bears fan, I can attest to this fact. I feel like the Packers are always freaking good and always beat up on the Bears. Obviously, we got over the hump against them last night, which was electric. And I don't know, maybe that'll change the future of the Packers organization. But I still think they're very well run and arguably the best run team in the NFL. And they're always freaking good. So those are my comparisons.
That was great. I mean, I would disagree with the Packers one. I think the Dodgers, because they had that 2000s era, which they were just cool, like whatever.
Who, the Dodgers?
So, yeah.
So who would you give to the Packers?
A team that's always well run and never loses. I would probably more so like the Yankees.
You think the Yankees are well run? I don't know if the Yankees are well run.
I mean, they're always consistently in top of the class. I mean, it's just the Yankees' expectations are just higher than everybody, if you think about it. So
yeah. Well, that is it. We're an hour and 15 minutes in. That's all we got. I'm checking my phone to see if there's any breaking news, and there is not, because I know that happened last week when we did the podcast. Okamoto signed. But Luis, this was a fun one. There's a lot to get to this week. A lot of news. Finally.
Yep. A lot of news. Finally.
All right. Well, that's it. We'll be back later this week, next weekend. We'll see, depending on what happens in the world of Major League Baseball. For my good friend over there, Luis Barranco, it was a fun one. Like we said earlier, hit that subscribe button so we can get to 500 on YouTube. Until next time, we'll catch you then. Peace out.